All right, you're good.
Okay. Today I will be interviewing Craig, a historian from Elizabethan times, on marriage and courtship. Who organized the wedding and got everything prepared?
The wedding tended to be organized by the parents, mainly the bride's father. This ties into the fact that parents were the ones who set up the marriage, not the children. Most of the time, the kids didn't even get a say in who they got to marry, or even know what they looked like before the wedding day. The bride and the groom were always from the same social class. Occasionally, if the groom was wealthy enough, he'd receive a picture of the bride beforehand so he'd know what she looked like. But other than that, they never meet in person. And yeah, that's something that is very changed from the day, where you kind of really want to know what the person looks like you're going to marry beforehand.
Could you explain the wedding procession?
The procession of the bride started at the family's house and went to the church, and they were often accompanied by musicians, like a parade. The bridesmen and groomsmen accompanied them after the ceremony, and the ring exchange, as an extravagant feast was held. So after the feast, they pretty much just partied until they ran out of food and drink.
What did the feast at the end of the ceremony include?
They had a lot of very, very exotic dishes. The main one was peacock, to give an example. But they still kind of just included what we have today: bread, sweet meats, sweet and spicy foods, a lot of alcoholic beverages, but since the water was unclean, they weren't necessarily the best drinks for you.
How did courtship or dating work in the Elizabethan times?
Instead of just asking for the girl to see if you want to go on a date with him, he'd ask permission for the father, and whether or not he could accompany her to formal events, dinners, stuff like that. But it was all up to whether the father thought he was good enough for his daughter.
What age did marriage happen?
Well, women were allowed to marry at the age of 12, men at the age of 13, but they often didn't until they were 21.
Why do you think the legal age to marry was so young?
Probably because their lifespan was shorter. They didn't live as long, so they figured, well, we might as well get married while we still are alive.
Explain what a dowry was.
A dowry was a wedding gift from the bride to the groom. This gift, whatever it was, along with the bride herself, would become the man's property after the wedding.
Was the baby rate high or low during this time era?
The baby rates were very high. Women were forced to make arrangements before they actually had the kid, in case that they did not survive childbirth. So that was very, very likely a possibility for them to die during childbirth at the time.
What does betrothal, is that how you say it? Betrothal mean, and what are some betrothal customs?
Well, a betrothal was just a mutual promise or contract for a future marriage. So pretty much saying ahead of time, like, yeah, we'll get married when we have the resources or the money. There were never any wedding invitations. The couples instead had to announce either on 3 consecutive Sundays or holy days that they were getting married at the local church. Any marriage not published beforehand in this time was considered illegal and secret. If a marriage had to be made with haste, they would use a marriage bond instead to act it as proof of the marriage and proof to the bishop that they were actually married, not just saying they were married.
Did wedding dresses have specific or common color?
No, not like today, where you're supposed to wear white. The only color that was never really worn was yellow, because it's associated with how we associate black now as mourning.
Was a wedding ring important to Elizabethans?
Not really. Most of them were too poor to afford one, so if they could afford one, it would normally be inscribed with French or Latin mottos that had something to do with marriage.
Was divorce common like it is today?
Not at all. Divorce was practically unheard of in those times. The men who actually abused their wives were still persecuted for it, same as it is today, although today it's more common than it was back then.
And we're done.
Okay, couple things. Good job. The color of the dress. Can all members of any class choose any color?
No, I feel like that's a no.
No. Okay. The color that they chose, which you did point out that they really didn't choose white, and that is correct, usually also indicated their status in that class structure. You know what I mean? Like purple, which would be more of a royal color. You wouldn't really see that unless you were like a high-ranking person, for example. And you talked about the age of girls and boys getting married, and you talked about one of the reasons was the death rate was, or the death age was lower, and it was lower. But the main reason why they were allowed to marry so young is because at that time, at the age of 12 and 13, most women were able to have children. And that was one of the big pushes. Whenever you did get married, you were to have a family. You were to have children. So once you were able to have children, you should get married, because that was the purpose of the woman anyway. Take care of the house, have kids, and that was it. Okay? But good job.